Wow, that was slow. Rightio. Are we connected? Yes, we are. Just make sure the sound settings are correct. Mic is good, audio is good. Let's see. What about audio? Where's my other source? Ah, I have it invisible. That's why. I cannot see it. And let's make sure we have monitoring on. Yes, please. There we go. Sometimes you just have to toggle things. Right. All right, welcome everybody. So sadly, with the stream yesterday, last night as scheduled, but I had forgot to hit the go live button because when you have a stream that is scheduled in YouTube Live Studio, then you need to not only connect, begin streaming, and hit the go live button. So I didn't realize that until I had finished my 30-minute stream, only to realize that whoops. What? Oh, somebody's after us. Well, well, well.
Hold it there. You die now.
Huh? Poor timing. Right, so this is the ASUS ProArt Studiobook 16, and I've really got to say, there is a lot to say actually about this laptop, but I've covered already the thermals and the fan noise in my review. There was a separate video dedicated to that. I've also covered a full review with as much depth as I possibly could. The challenge is trying to give you guys all of the details, because I'm sure, as some of you have noticed now, a lot of the other review channels, the reviews are starting to look like ads. And you know, it isn't 100% the fault of theirs, considering that most people, their attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So you got to digest it, get to the quick tidbits as quickly as you can to engage your audience, get the message across that you want, and basically move on. So in my case, I like to spend a lot of time, basically these, you know, whichever laptop I'm testing becomes my daily driver device for a couple of weeks. And I do everything on these things, from editing to graphics work to producing thumbnails to, you know, editing my pictures and you know, product photographs to, of course, playing gaming, lots of gaming, as well as, you know, content consumption, searching, browsing. They become my computer essentially. Other than when I need to stream or I need to shoot, that's when I come to my desktop, hook this up. Because multiple cameras is very hard to do still with laptops, considering that USB root hubs are limited generally in a laptop scenario. So I'll just give a hint of that, what I mean there. If I go here to device manager, let's just switch over to, yeah, and I'll show you guys here what I mean. So if you're interested in connecting multiple cameras, USB based cameras, to your computer, what you need to do is go in here to your USB controllers. It's kind of hard to see there, it's very small. I'll look here, USB root, and you need to find these USB root hubs. So that means if you connect two USB cameras to this laptop, you'll be able to get both of them to stream or record at the same time. If you have more angles, then it becomes a real challenge, and that's why I have a desktop, because the processing time also on the desktop is just far leaps and bounds beyond what you can do with any laptop today. There's a significant difference. That's not to say that if you have only a laptop workflow and a production scenario that you cannot get your work done. In fact, these 4070s are beasts when it comes even to rendering and video output. I'm able to render like a 4K 60 HDR clip in about a minute in near real time. So that's very, very impressive after having gone through DaVinci Resolve or whatever your favorite editing software is. So they do have a lot of power. Gaming workloads are a little bit different because you have VRAM limitations, you have bandwidth limitations on the actual GPU, so that will affect ultimately what your gaming experience is like. But content creation is usually like, you know, brute force your way through the video encoding, and it just needs raw compute power at that point. So it's a very different use case, and many of these laptops, I think even down to a 4060, you can really do some nice video editing work. As long as you go into your editor and turn the resolution down, and I'll demonstrate that here. You know, not everything I can show in the review because it's just, otherwise it would be a 3-hour review. And if you guys watch the Gizmo Slip Tech channel. I love his channel, by the way. Sometimes I just put it on for a background and I enjoy it. So, hey Brandon, if you're watching. But anyway, yeah. So if I open a new project here, I can add 4K 60 footage. Let's see if we have anything on this drive. Here we go. Yeah. So this is a gameplay video I did of a stream the other day. I believe it was Age of Empires 4. So you can see here it's showing 1980 by 1020. Nope, this is 4K, please. There we go. So now if I go here to 4K, drop this into the timeline, I can see here that when I go to my playback, the timeline resolution is full. So that means it's actually showing my video at 4K resolution. And as I start to pan across, you'll see here that it's a bit choppy. I'm not getting real-time panning. See, there you go. It's not panning real time. A little bit of inception there. You can hear myself speak in a video on a stream, groundbreaking, as I speak over myself. But yeah, so it plays just fine, and you can also edit if you want this to be smoother. And this is going to be a challenge you'll face in every pretty much laptop, depending on how high res the video is. This is only 4K 60 HDR, and by today's standards, that's not that high of a video output or video format to be working with. Today people are working with 8K, 12K HDR formats, which are many megabits higher than what I've got here. But if you go into playback and go to your timeline resolution here, set it to half or a quarter. A quarter is just fine in this case, because you really just want to find points to edit, to mark, to cut, to do clips. And you can pan around much faster this way. Now keep in mind, when you do that, see, it's already starting to be more responsive. As I pan through, it's able to render more and more of the frames. So changing that render resolution really goes a long way if you're a video editor and you want to be able to edit your stuff in near real time. It actually makes a big difference. But that said, I can leave this running in the background. I've got 32 gigs of DDR5 5600 on this laptop. So let's just take a look there. And I'll show that off here. So if we look at the RAM, we've got 5600 megahertz. There's 2 DIMMs. I don't understand why it quite says there's 2 of 4 slots used. There are not 4 slots in this laptop. There's only 2 DDR5 slots. They're SODIMM slots. It's not soldered RAM, so you could actually take off the bottom lid, swap those out perhaps for 32 gig modules if you wanted an upgrade to 64 gigs. But you can see here with DaVinci Resolve running in the background, I've still got about 30 gigs half of my 32 gigs available. So I've got nearly 16 gigabytes of RAM available. So that means I can definitely and truly multitask on this laptop. And you can see here that DaVinci eats up quite a bit of RAM. It loves it, and so does the game as well. But if we go back to the game, it's very smooth, live, no problems whatsoever. I don't have any issues with frame rate drops. And to say a few words about this touch display, because it's kind of interesting. I don't think you can touch play, but if you tap the screen, you can't act like a mouse button. Let me just show that off here. It's a little bit funny. I think that's entertaining to look at. So here we are. I'll see how much I can tilt. See? But you can't. Can I navigate around? No, just only single touch. So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of entertaining to see that, but that's really about it. For gaming, you're gonna want a mouse. And the other thing is that this display does have an issue with reflections. I think I've already pointed that out in my review. There you go. You can see my overhead camera and light for this LED light. And the other issue with the laptop screen is, let's say we have it down here. Oh, try to get the mic out of the way. I hope this will stay audio. Nope, it has to be really in front to be able to capture. Is my audio too low, guys? Let me know. Just want to make sure that my mic is coming through nice and clear. I think I can leave it here and it should be good. Okay, yeah. So the other thing I want to point out is, if you have this laptop closed, by the way, it's just going to go into hibernate mode. If you open the lid, there's a lot of wobble. The screen wobbles like for a few seconds. And this is particularly prevalent on the HP, what was it? Not Pavilion, sorry, the Victus. And also on even the HP Omen 17 I tested earlier in the year. Just like, what is with this wobble? It's not that the screen hinge isn't stiff, because you can leave it at any position and it stays. But just when you open the display initially, you'll have this wobble. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's not, I think, anything really to go too crazy about, but it is something worth noting. And of course, you have that touch display. There is, I believe, no IR camera on this. Let me just check here before I have to eat my words. Let's go to, is there, how would I find that anyway? Human interface. I think we could just go to settings. So if we go here to settings and search for login, do we have any sort of facial recognition? Is unavailable, right? So it does not have an IR camera. Sometimes it's hard to remember these stats because there's just so many effects and configs about each particular laptop. Yeah, so that's the really annoying part about is the wobble, and then the other thing, of course, is the glare. You can see here it's reflecting. If I put my fingers close, it starts to reflect that. If that bothers you, you know, it might be an issue. But I think unless you have the display really turned down, and I don't know why you would, it's gonna be fine. At 500 nits, it is plenty bright. I love the fact that this is much better than the prior years OLED displays that we had on the 15 and 16-inch laptops. I believe about 2 years ago is when they really started to hit the market. Because those displays had sub-pixel issues. You could see the sub-pixels, but those were primarily at 1080p resolution or maybe a little bit higher. This display at 3200 by 2000 is essentially Retina. So it's the equivalent of what you get on a MacBook Pro. They're about 3200 by 1800, something like this resolution. So because of that resolution, everything is sharp. You don't see any subpixels. The screen is vibrant. It's got very nice, beautiful, gorgeous colors. They're a little saturated. That's kind of the look of OLED because of that glass substrate on top, or glass layer on top. And as a result, you get the touch digitizer as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. The color gamut on this is excellent. It's 100% DCI-P3. However, it isn't 100% Adobe RGB, because that is the highest you can get if you want to be a content creator. So there's sRGB at 100%, which allows you to basically game, because most games are rendered in SDR at sRGB or target at that spectrum, the color spectrum. You can then jump up to 100% DCI-P3, which will allow you to do photography, and that's its main target, photography, not videography. Some content can be rendered also in 100% DCI-P3, but it'll be close enough that you can do color corrective work and color critical work without having issues or saying, you know, I don't have enough color gamut or my colors are not accurate. And this display comes from the factory pre-calibrated. And if you go into control panel here, you'll see that there is already a calibrated color profile that is I've seen it. Oh yeah, it won't show now because I'm mirroring the displays, but it is indeed here, and there is a calibrated profile. Plus, if you go into the ProArt software hub, creator hub, excuse me. So here you can see the actual color profile. If you go to color control, you can see here that there's factory calibration, and the delta E is 0.73, which means it's the colors that this screen produces, this particular panel produces, are very, very close to the accurate or reference colors for RGB, white, etc., whatever the colors are. So that's a nice thing to have on this display. Other than that, of course, we have HDR support. Right now I've got it disabled because, well, frankly, 500 and a bump up to 550 nits isn't enough for us to get HDR. Anything below 600 nits of brightness, you're just doing lip service to HDR, in my opinion. And I can say that because I've tested the mini LED Legion 9i, which was 1200 nits, true proper HDR, gorgeous display. And my desktop monitor now, which was a recent upgrade, is a Samsung Odyssey G8. That's 4K at 240 hertz. Don't care about the 240 hertz, but the main takeaway from there is that it has mini LED backlight and it's capable of 1000 nits. But now I'm starting to think, after a few weeks of experience, is that 1000 nits is not enough at a 32-inch screen size for mini LED to get a really bright and vibrant HDR effect. I saw the 1200 nits mini LED on the Legion 9i being better in almost every single way than even this 32-inch display, and it cost, you know, it was not a cheap purchase. But that, keep in mind that after 6 years I'm upgrading my display, so it's not that bad of a deal. Anyway, yeah, so as we play here, the gameplay is smooth. Let's switch back to the laptop so you guys can see some gameplay while I talk and yabber on. The other nice thing I want to point out about this laptop is it has a really nice keyboard. If you guys didn't see the review, you'll notice that it's very tactile. It's very clicky, it's very responsive, it's tactile, it gives good feedback. But the keys don't have the largest, you know, depth in terms of the overall key press, but it's enough that you can touch type without any issues. And the fact that they took away that fourth column from the trackpad, let's swap back to the overhead cam. Yeah, they took away the fourth column from here, allows them to make all of these keys the same pitch and size, which is really nice. And you can also start to see here that it will start to pick up some fingerprints and oils from your fingers. All you need is a microfiber cloth, a little bit of patience, and some manual labor. And it's quite easy to wipe off. If it starts to get to the point where you can't wipe this off easily, don't use rubbing alcohol. Just, a little bit of warm water and you should be able to do the trick. If you want, you can try a little bit of the eyeglass cleaner stuff, because that's usually not toxic, and that works as well. But it's very easy to remove fingerprints. Overall, the touch surface here, ASUS says that it's got a antimicrobial guard. I don't know what that means. Is it supposed to prevent us from germs? But it does not seem to catch fingerprints that well, unless you've been eating chips or Doritos. Keep that stuff away from your keyboards, friends. You don't want any salsa getting in this stuff. It's going to be not a fun time for you, nor for this very expensive laptop. And then that brings me to my next point: expensive. The prices on laptops have gone absolutely astronomical this year. With the release of the 4000 generation and the 13th generation, and AMD now being back for CPU competition, everybody decided that they wanted a bigger piece of your pocketbook. So essentially, combining the 13th generation Intel chips, which this has, it's the i9-13980HX. This is the top of the 13th generation Raptor Lake stack for this year. 24 cores, 32 threads, 5.7 gigahertz, which you'll never see, by the way, in a persistent fashion or a sustained fashion on this laptop. But anyway, so that's there, combined with the RTX 4000 series due to DLSS 3 support and frame generation support, which is only on 4000 GPUs. I doubt that NVIDIA will bring that down lower to the stack to the 3000 prior GPUs, because, well, they want to sell newer GPUs at a much higher price, right? So the prices for all of the desktop GPUs has gone up 30 to 50% in some cases. 4060, 4070, 4080, and 4090 has always been astronomical. Now it's more astronomical than ever, in my opinion. That said, the mobile laptop GPUs this year are also some of the most powerful if you combine DLSS and frame generation. Most games I find now, at least that are releasing this year, have some sort of what do we call it, frame generation tech, or some sort of DLSS type of tech. What do we even call that? Adaptive technology? I don't know. But if you look at DLSS 3, the list is growing, and it's growing fast. And we've got DLSS 3.5 just around the corner. DLSS 3 and 3.1, they've perfected it, I think, well enough to the point where you don't have a lot of glistening and shiny images and artifacting on the screen. It starts to look very, very good. Let's switch back here to the game for a moment. We'll walk around on a camel. In addition, if you combine frame generation in games like Hogwarts Legacy, you'll get some really, really good frame rates. Essentially, it nearly doubles the frame rates in any game where it's available. So if you apply DLSS with quality or balance mode plus frame generation, you nearly double your frame rates. Hey, who can argue with more frames, right? And it's imperceptible unless you have measuring equipment, or if you're really have excellent eyesight. If you're particular about these things, you can notice these things. There's a small percentage of the population that can. You cannot really tell that it's adaptive tech at work rather than native resolution rendering. And the sharpness, algorithms that then help to bring back the sharpness and clarity of the picture, they work very, very well. I've tested that in Hogwarts Legacy, in Cyberpunk, in Assassin's Creed Mirage, in Doom Eternal, and it is fantastic. I absolutely love it. For that reason, I would not recommend anybody, no matter how good the deals are this holiday season, to buy anything below a 4050. Do not buy the 30 series gaming laptops, because you have no DLSS, no frame generation tech, and there's no hope on the horizon that will come to the 3000 series. So pony up a few $100 more, even if you can. Get yourself into an entry 4060 laptop. I'm starting to see the prices drop already. Right around the corner here for Black Friday sales. I think there's going to be some excellent deals on the horizon. 4060 is your sweet spot, unless you really want, all out gaming laptop and gaming is your first priority. Then minimum entry is 4080 for you. And the difference between the 4080 and 4090, because I'm sure some people will ask this question, is about 10 to 15% given a few select games. So The sweet spot, definitely in terms of value and overall proposition, is the 4080 if you're a gamer first. But if you want just something that's balanced all around, 4060 at quad HD can manage pretty well, or 4050 if you're totally fine having a 1080p display. And stay tuned for my next review coming pretty soon here. It's the Lenovo Legion Loc, I don't know, LOQ. It's very interesting branding, but it's a 15-inch, 144 hertz display, very base laptop with a 4050, 1050, that's like 4 generations ago. A 4050 combined with DLSS and frame generation, it's very impressive. And I'll be talking about the comparisons and we'll be doing a GPU buyer's guide towards the end of the year, because that's really when all the sales start to come out. So before Black Friday, stay tuned to this channel, get subscribed. There's going to be some recommendations coming on best laptop for budget, best laptop for gamers, best laptop for content creators. We'll try to get these quick videos out as soon as we can to help you guys during the holiday buying season, so you can make an informed decision and know what to buy for your particular use case. And of course, laptops are very subjective. For example, I loved the Legion 9i. It was a gorgeous laptop, but at $6,000, no thank you. I'll skip. I can get 2 Alienware laptops for that price. It just didn't make any sense. So at the end of the day, as good as it was, and of course it's a premium entry in their lineup, and they're trying to compete with what Razer does. Razer charges astronomical prices for their laptops because they claim to be the crème de la crème of laptops. Well, really, if you buy a 4080 or a 4090 equipped laptop that costs $6,000 today, I guarantee you in less than 12 months that will be worth half, and it's going to be buyer's remorse. So that's why I didn't commit to that laptop. And right now I have also an AMD equipped. There's been an announcement on a 7900M XT, which is supposed to butt heads with the 4080, perhaps even the 4090 from NVIDIA in terms of laptop GPUs. Maybe you'll have lower performance in terms of ray tracing and all those goodies, but it's supposed to have FSR 3, I believe, and some other goodies which allows you to just press one button. That was shown off at CES. I think it's called Radeon. I'll have to look that up. But there's a tech in their software where you press one button, it optimizes everything, and if you have an AMD CPU GPU combination, it pushes as much wattage to that GPU as it needs, and it can cycle between two, depending on if you have a CPU bound game or a GPU bound game, to get really good gaming experience and all-around content creation experience as well. So stay tuned for that. I have an Alienware M18 coming with a 17900 MXT around the corner here, so that'll be the review for that will be coming up soon as well. So there's a lot of content planned in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a busy holiday season. Stay tuned to this channel for all the buyer's guides, updates, tips, deal watches, wherever possible. I don't focus on deals here. That's a very taxing job, but you can head over to Jared's Tech. He maintains a list of laptop deals around the world, I believe, and they have a laptop deals website. You can check there. Brandon from Gizmo Slip Tech also has a spreadsheet that he keeps of laptop deals and value, and tracks all kinds of metrics. So head over to those channels if you want this type of information. My focus here is the experience, the livability, the gaming and laptop life. This is what my focus is. So that said, I think the price on this one, we'll circle back here. Sorry for that long detour. But if we circle back here, I think the point I want to make about laptop here is there's no such thing as a bad laptop. There's bad pricing. And this can be exploited or extrapolated to any product for that matter. At the right price, somebody will put their wallet down and buy it. So this laptop now, and I'm starting to see deals for 4070 equipped laptops under $2,000. And this laptop at $3,500, well, what does it bring to the table above and beyond that? One, we get an OLED display. Okay. It's a touch display. Okay. There's an included pen. Okay. Nice keyboard. Well-balanced thermos, surprisingly. Very good performance still for a 4070 equipped laptop. But is that worth nearly $1,500 more? Okay. Let's compare apples to apples here. If we take a look at a laptop that is 4070 equipped, has some really nice display, then let's say if it's $2,500, this $1,000 premium over that for what? And for what entirely? This knob here? I don't know. And a pen and a touch display? You have to be basically the decision maker and decide whether that's warranting enough for you to go out and spend your money far above what you'd be able to get an equivalently spec'd laptop. That's like saying I buy a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder car, but I want to buy a 2.5 liter luxury car. They still have the same engine displacement, same engine capacity, same cylinders, roughly even the same horsepower. Why would I buy one over the other? Again, it's preference, it's luxury, it's other factors, it's overall experience. And that's my focus on this particular channel. So as an experience perspective, this is an absolutely fantastic laptop. Having the touch pen to be able to sign documents, to be able to draw if you're an artist or if you just dabble with stuff, even taking notes is actually a good scenario. But because this isn't a 360 flip display, it's here nor there. You know, if they had done that, I think I would have had focused on that much more so. But that said, the display has definitely grown on me. It is a beautiful display. The color saturation, just like OLED TVs, is definitely something to rave about. This would be very close in my choice of displays next to the Legion 9i, which I tested with the mini LED 1200 nits display. That is on a league of its own. It's standing apart as far as I can tell, at the top of the stack, lone soldier, king of the hill in terms of display tech this year from any particular gaming laptop. So if you've got the money and cash and you want the best of the best, the Legion 9i with that mini LED display. And of course, around the holiday season, I hope there will be some sales where we start to see that fall well below $3,000 US or well below $4,000 Canadian, I would hope. It may be something to consider if you want the best of the best. And the performance, it delivered. It definitely delivered on the performance with that 4090. You could put it into the balance mode, turn on the Lenovo AI engine, and it would just go. So that's it. I would like to see some sales on this between $500 to $1,000 off this device, and anywhere between $2,500 to maybe $2,800 Canadian, I think would be a much better consideration and a uprunner if you wanted a laptop with all of the bells and whistles that this provides. The dial wheel here, it's a great premise. I love the fact that ASUS takes risks and tries these things because not very many other manufacturers do. So thank you. I cannot praise ASUS enough for this fact. To be innovative, to try new things. Things don't work, things don't fail. Okay, we try something else. But I think the software part here is what's really lacking. We still do not have any killer apps that make this a must-have feature. If you're an artist, you may have some tools, some bindings here that may be helpful. Brush sizes, colors, I don't know what you use there. But even for video editors, maybe you can use this to scroll the timeline. Perhaps in DaVinci Resolve, you can map it to additional functions. So that is a possibility there. The deck is beautiful. The lid is beautiful. It's aluminum. It's well-designed laptop. Thermals are under check. You can definitely play in the balance mode here. Gaming chops is plenty enough as long as you don't have high expectations. And initially I had mentioned in my review that I did see some stuttering from the display here in games. Maybe there was some other background process running there because I tested extensively and I don't see that anymore. So whatever issue I faulted this display for in terms of screen tearing, I will have to take that back. This is actually a very good display. It is absolutely gorgeous. As long as you don't have a lot of ambient light in the room or you're sitting with direct sunlight at the screen, this looks fantastic. And the colors are just lovely to look at. So overall, I think that's my take on this particular laptop. It's been a great device. I've loved my experience with it. ASUS, you did a great job, but please work on that price. I know you're trying to charge premium price because it's a creator laptop, and artists have big budgets usually from Hollywood film studios and art studios and game design studios, and they can throw money at big buck products like this. But for the average consumer that wants to have a really nicely equipped, well-rounded laptop, by the way, watching movies on this is a joy as well. That screen at the OLED screen is really good. So that's all I really have to say about this laptop. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to get to them. But ASUS ProArt Studiobook 16 gets a thumbs up from me. Looking for some holiday sales. If you're looking to pick this up, keep your eye out. We're right around the corner and you're going to be able to see some really nice deals coming up soon. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks for tuning into the stream, and we'll see you in the next one.